Hi everyone. This is my first video and I want to start making like a one-time weekly video between like 5 and 15 minutes just talking about the UFC news, recapping a UFC event, talking about future UFC events, and then I'm a leasing agent in LA, so I thought I might plug in some apartments, see if anybody's looking for housing that lives in the area, and I can definitely be your huckleberry. I could find an apartment for you anywhere in Santa Monica, Venice, West LA, West Hollywood, Hollywood, LA in general. I'm your guy. But I just wanted to create this channel just so people can talk about all things UFC and not necessarily UFC. If you want to talk about books, video games, movies in the comments, that's fine too. It's an open discussion, really. But I mean, I love the UFC. I bleed the UFC. I read all news about UFC. I don't read the world news. I don't keep up with news in general. I keep up with the UFC. I love the UFC. So I just thought it'd be fun to create a channel just talking about it, just seeing where it goes, just doing this as a hobby. And then, like I said, if I can find housing for people, well, that's a bonus. So yeah, so let's get right on into it. Let's talk about the UFC BMF card over the weekend. I won't get too invested or touch too much into it because I don't know if you all have seen, like in the last couple of years, the UFC has kind of melded in. The cards aren't that exciting anymore. Like, they're putting on fights that nobody knows. They're not ranked fighters. So I like to think maybe right now it's just a bit of a lull for the UFC, but they'll bounce back and they'll get out of it. They'll snap out of it with like the rise of Netflix, Ryzen, One Championship. Even wrestling is starting to get involved in the MMA space. I think it's RAF Wrestling that just booked Arman Sarukian versus someone. I forgot the name, but still, the point is that they're coming up with there's competition for the UFC now. So I truly believe that they're not going to be melding in for much longer. They're going to be getting actual legitimate competition, and they're going to have to watch their P's and Q's and put on the fights that fans want to see. So, like I said, going back to the BMF fight card, overall, I thought the card could have been a little better. Drew Dober versus Michael Johnson delivered. That was an exciting fight. I felt bad for Michael Johnson. I'm sure, like the rest of you, were all rooting for him. He's been a part of the sport for so long. You can't help but root for him. Anybody who's that age with that many fights, like you want them to succeed. You want them to do well. So I mean, props to him for beating Zellheffer over the summer. But it was a bummer to watch him get flatlined this weekend. But that's also the fight game. You stick around long enough, you end up face down, ass up. That's just how it goes in the sport, unfortunately. The Roses Jr. fight, I honestly thought that was going to be a better fight. I thought that because he had Rob Font, a veteran of the sport, it was going to be a fight of the night performance. But it was anything but. Roses still has, obviously he's young, so he can turn it around. But the jury's not out on him. I feel like there's enough time for him to turn it around, put on some exciting fights. Like, he's so young. I think he's 21 years old. That he'll find his groove. He'll find his groove. He'll get comfortable in the UFC, and he won't play it safe any longer, just trying to win out a decision by any means necessary. I think he'll open up and start taking more chances. So, curious to see what the UFC is going to do for his next fight. As for Rob Font, I mean, veteran of the sport. I hate to say journeyman, but he'll stick around for a few more fights and put on some exciting fights along the way on his way out. But good for him for also being in the UFC for all these years. It's commendable. For the co-main event, that was a dud. I'm looking at the main card right here on Wikipedia, but him versus RDR versus, damn, I don't remember his name. He reminds me of like Apollo Costa though. Baralho. He's an exciting fighter. He's a type that he can either put on an exciting KO or it's going to be a dud. But most times he does deliver on exciting fights. I was surprised by that one. I thought it was going to be an entertaining kickboxing match. It just turned out to feel like an exhibition, if anything. But it's all good. Like, it happens. Not every fight card can be exciting. Not everyone can be thrilling. So it is what it is for now. But for the main event, Charles versus Max, we all thought that one was going to deliver. And it just didn't. Which is crazy because it's for the BMF title. You would think that the fighters would throw caution to the wind or put the BMF title on the line and try to win in exciting fashion or just not playing it safe. It's like not play it safe type of fight. Like obvious unspoken agreement that you're going to stand and bang, we're going to fight, there's going to be no takedowns, or even if there is a takedown, I'm going to be trying to finish you. Like, that's the end game for a BMF title, is to go for a finish. So I guess it's bound to happen. Bound to happen to have a dud every now and again. So it's all good. It's all good. It's not historically, if they keep on with the BMF fights, they're more often than not, they're going to be entertaining. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Although this performance was pretty bad, you do have to wonder if maybe, just maybe, they should retire the BMF belt for the time being. If there's one fight that you got to retire it on, it's that one. But at the same time, they probably should just, that, I mean, again, that's a fight that you should maybe hold off on having another BMF title in the time being. Wait for somebody who's worthy of a BMF title fight, and then bring back the pristine, the image of it, like, well, whatever it represents. Like, the fighters need to be, I guess, worthy of it. I mean, it is for a quote unquote belt, but we all know it's. I mean, it's not real. It's still one of those things, though, where technically it is for a belt. So let's deliver, boys. But in any case, I still want good things for Oliveira. Still rooting for Max. Two guys of the sport that you just can't help but like. So it is what it is. It's a dud. It was a dud fight. It's all good. Maybe retire it for the next couple years and bring it back to two fighters who are worthy of fighting for the belt. Will draw attention, deliver. That way it keeps the allure of the belt going. And then for this weekend's fights, it's Emmett Smith versus somebody else. Somebody who I've never heard of. I don't know if they're maybe trying to put Emmett out to pasture and they're going to bring this young gun out to make a statement win. Or maybe, who knows, maybe Emmett still has it. But let's be real. The next UFC fight card is trash. We don't know the fighters. And look, I'm all for it. We can have the fighters on there on a fight card that we don't know. Put them on the preliminary card of a big event so we get familiar with them. But when you have the whole fight card as just preliminary fighters, there's no excitement for the fights. I'm not excited for the card. Like, I'll tune in and then watch the Emmett fight. That's it. I'm not going to invest my whole Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening to watch the fight card of fighters that you're only going to see this one time and you're likely never going to hear from them again, see them again. You want to build them on the preliminary card. Get their name up. Match them against other people that are relatively known. Build their star power that way. And then just put on cards that the fans want. But this next one is pretty dicey. Man, even if you're a hardcore fan, it's still going to be hard to get up for this one. It's just not exciting. And I hate saying that because, like, back in the day, the UFC used to be exciting. But it's all good. Like I said, if they hit a lull, they'll snap out of it. This isn't forever. So we just have to roll with it. The UFC will get the job done. They're not going to let it go in the path of boxing where it's top heavy or, just the main event and then it's like a skewered odds of a fight where it's like a minus 425 versus a plus 325 underdog. That's not going to happen. They won't let it get to that point. I think they're self-aware enough to know that the fans are going to call them out on that BS. So that's going to be next week's fight card. This is pretty much going to wrap up the show. I just want to make quick shows in and out once a week. And if you have any comments or questions like that, just leave them in the chat. Let's just talk. Let's just talk all things UFC. And now, for the leasing aspect, just a little plug, nothing major. I do have a 2-bed, 2-bath in Santa Monica. It's 825 square feet, 1 block away from Ocean Avenue, which is next to the beach. It has laundry, in-unit laundry, a dishwasher, stainless steel appliances, and I'll leave the link in the bio for you to check out. Let me know if you want to view it in person, and I'll gladly show it to you. I'm a leasing agent. I can show you all things apartments in LA, and we can also talk UFC when we're walking the apartments. Thanks, everybody.